everyone, and welcome to the This Is That podcast. I am your host, Kenya Whitehurst, also known as Coach K. The title of today's segment is The Unexpected Diagnosis, a journey of hope and healing with my guest, Kim Bell. Welcome, Kim.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, we're going to delve in right on into the questions this morning and just sit back and relax and be yourself. Don't be nervous as I was this morning.
Mhm.
So, my first question to you today is, can you take us back to the moment when you first learned about your thynoma cancer diagnosis?
The moment that I heard the word cancer,
Hmm.
um, it's kind of hard to say because it was little moments that led up to that moment. So once I
Hmm.
got the diagnosis, I probably was already prepared for the diagnosis. So it wasn't an extreme shock. I think the shock was that something was there when I found out that something was there. Um, but yeah, it was definitely was shocked. It took me a while to let it sink in.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
What were your initial thoughts and feelings? I know you mentioned that it wasn't a total shock, but just knowing that something's there that you didn't know before. What was your initial thoughts and feelings about that?
My I probably went straight into what are we gonna do mode
Mm,
instead of being scared. I was like, okay, so how are we gonna fix it?
right.
So I went straight into that. I can't say that there was a moment where I was sad or even scared. I was just, this is what it is. Let's do what we got to do. Kind of attitude.
Okay. Well, that's a good attitude to have because most people would have panicked
Yeah,
first and would have been overcome with some people would have already put themselves in the grave.
and
In other words, but, that's good that you had that kind of rationale for that diagnosis.
yeah.
How did the diagnosis impact your plans for the kidney transplant?
Um.
Before you answer that question, let's back up a little bit.
Okay.
I'm talking about a kidney transplant. Let's talk about the kidney issue that you have.
Okay. Yes. So I am stage 4 chronic kidney disease.
Okay.
I don't need a kidney. I don't. I'm not on dialysis. I don't need a transplant.
Mhm.
But they like to be preemptive, where they prepare for if you do need a transplant. So I was going through that phase of testing to see
Mhm.
if I could get on the kidney transplant plant.
Okay.
And they test you from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet to see if you got different diseases, if you had different diseases and stuff like that, because they don't want to give you a kidney and then it fails. So that's when they found at that moment. It's like something's in your chest because they did a MRI. It was like
Mhm.
there's something in your chest, and I was like, at that moment, at that time, I was like, no, it's not. It's just it's just a cyst, because I have cysts. So it's just a cyst in my breast. It's nothing. But then
Mhm.
it kept being something and kept being something.
Okay. So now that question is, how did that diagnosis impact your plans for the kidney transplant?
Um, at that point, everything about the kidney testing stopped. I was right at the end of the testing anyway. I think I had one more thing to do. But that stopped, and then if my focus was the cancer.
Mhm.
So once I had the surgeries and everything to remove the tumor. Um, I'm able to be on the kidney transplant list. They still let me be on it, but I'm
Mhm.
inactive, and I'm inactive for 5 years until kidney free, cancer free for 5 years, and then if I need a kidney, I can have one. But
Okay.
if I needed one right now, I could not get one.
Okay. because you have to go through the 5 year process.
5 years.
Kind of like being clean for 5 years.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
same thing. Yeah.
gotcha. What was the most challenging part of receiving this unexpected diagnosis while preparing for the kidney transplant?
Um, I felt like the kidney, the me getting the testing for the kidney transplant list
Hmm.
was a blessing because that's when they found the thymoma. Because the thymoma didn't give me any symptoms. I didn't know it was there. They didn't know it was there. And when I tested for the thymoma, the MRI they did for the kidney testing, that's when they found it. So I feel like the having that testing was what I was supposed to be doing, so I could find
Right,
the tumor. Yeah.
right.
So
It
yeah.
revealed what was hidden.
Yep.
And
Did.
where was the thymoma? Or where was it?
Thymoma. The thymoma is a gland that's in the center of your chest, and when you're a baby, when you're born, you're born with it, and then it makes T cells that help you with viruses and fights stuff in your body.
Hmm.
And mine had grown a tumor, or however that goes, and so it was large inside in between my lungs and my heart. So yeah, and it's usually not found. It's either found too late or it's found by accident, and mine was found by accident.
Wow. Amazing. How did you cope with the emotional roller coaster of dealing with two serious health issues simultaneously?
I would say that once they said that this was actually cancer, like, yes, you have cancer, I
Hmm.
didn't think about kidney, nothing. I didn't think about no other part of my body except that. And
Hmm.
how to heal that and what I could do to contribute to that healing. So yeah, I didn't think about anything else. Yeah, just put everything else was in the back on the back burner.
Okay, I
Yeah.
get that. Who or what was your biggest source of strength during this time? And how did your loved ones react to the news?
Who and what was my biggest strength, and how did my loved ones react to the news?
Make a
I would,
song out
I would say first and foremost,
of
God.
it. Right.
A lot of praying, a lot of meditating, and that I think that's what gave me the calm that I had. That everybody was like, "She's so calm and positive."
Hmm.
I'm like, "That's what I'm supposed to be." Not
Right.
saying that people who aren't that way, just everybody's different. They have their own way of dealing, but that's mine. And my biggest supporters, of course, my husband. Both things.
Hmm.
He he was there every step, every minute, every
Yes.
second of the way, and of course, my friends and family. You
Hmm.
being one, you were always rallying and making sure I was good and coming down here and all of that.
Hmm.
If we want to get personal, and the women of Women Minded, a group that I'm with, we're all with. They were just there as my biggest cheerleaders, and that means a lot, and it meant a lot. So yeah, that was
I
my
think
support.
about while you were talking about your support system with your husband and your friends and women minded, there's so many people out there that go through stuff like this that don't have anyone,
Hmm.
no one.
Yep.
They are alone in the journey, and I cannot imagine what that looks like or what that would. I've been through a lot of things in my earlier years, but alone, I felt alone. So just to know that someone would have to go to something of that magnitude alone is just
Yeah. Yeah.
unfathomable
I couldn't imagine.
to me.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that you had the support, especially dealing with two different dynamics, with two different parts of your body. Not only are you going through this with the kidneys, now you have another thing that's going to change your whole
Hmm.
outlook on life, and you
Yeah.
you have to go through that. But just being a person that's strong anyway helps, and you having the support that you needed, that God had people in place for such a time as this. And
Yeah.
I'm grateful that you had the support that you needed. What about your children and your sister? What about your children? How did they respond?
Um, they did good. Um, I think my well, my boys, of course, I'm not saying all boys or men are this way, but they're kind of like, "Yeah, you're gonna be fine. It's okay. Yeah, we got you." Da, 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 da. My daughter, on the other end, she was very scared and wondering what was gonna happen, and she's always been that way. So it's just the two different personalities and the genders. But yeah, they took it well, and they were, I'm sure they were praying and
Yeah.
scared, even if they didn't act scared. I'm sure they were.
Okay. Were there any moments during this time or even now when you feel alone or overwhelmed? And how did you push yourself through those times? Did you feel at any time
I,
alone?
I never felt alone,
Okay.
not ever. No,
Good.
not ever, not one moment.
'Cause
Yeah, I wasn't. But sometimes you can be around somebody and still be alone.
you still feel alone. That's the word. Never.
But yeah, like I said, I feel very supported, never alone. Overwhelmed, no, because the people around me didn't let me do anything, so I never felt overwhelmed. I couldn't pick up a toothpick.
Mm,
Yeah, I didn't. Everything just flowed. Everything went like it was supposed to.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's good. That's very good. And again, a lot of people don't have that.
right.
That's a blessing.
Yeah.
What was the treatment process like for your thymoma cancer? What was that treatment like?
So the first surgery, initially, doing the biopsy and everything on the outside, trying to see what was on the inside,
Mm-hmm.
she diagnosed it as, a thymoma, and she said it was very early and probably very small from what they could measure
Mm-hmm.
from the outside. Um, I got it was a robotic thymectomy, they call it, which is
Mm-hmm.
dissecting the thymectomy.
Okay.
And it's just a little hole on the side, and they just go in and clip and do what they got to do. But the diagnosis was stage 3
Mm-hmm.
cancer instead of very early, and it was a lot bigger than they thought it was. So she got out as much as she could in that way. If she had known that it was bigger before she went in, I would have had the second surgery that I did have, because once they tested it from the first surgery, um, it was showing that it was connected to the lining of my heart. And they wanted to make sure they got all of the cells out. So that's when I had the second surgery, which was a year ago next week.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that was the sternotomy that I had to get out the rest of the cancer cells and to take the pericardium from around my heart. Not all of it, but some of it. That also had the cancer cells on it. And yeah, so that was the treatment. And then I didn't have chemotherapy or radiation. I think chemotherapy would have been the option if I didn't have the kidney disease, because
Okay.
that would have caused the kidney to fail because I'm already almost there. So
Right.
chemotherapy wasn't an option.
Okay.
Radiation afterwards was an option that I declined, basically because I felt like I had done enough. Not being a doctor, I felt like I was
Mm-hmm.
had done enough. I had did everything I was told to do. So that was from a spiritual level, and they agreed. So that was confirmation. They agreed. Okay, yes, you've done it a lot, and we don't have to do the radiation. So we'll just watch you, and that's what I'm doing. So I'm doing cancer surveillance right now.
So you had two surgeries.
Mm-hmm.
Same surgery, different surgeries.
Different surgery, basically back to back.
And what did that surgery entail? Like,
The second one,
tell us, like, The process, I know you said the first one was the robotic, correct?
Mhm.
That second surgery, what did that entail for you?
Well, excuse me. First of all, it was a I say a sternotomy. It was a sternotomy. I think that's what it's called. Where they placed an incision from the top here all the way down. I think it's about 9 inches through the breast and right at the sternum, and then they open it up, and of course they put you to sleep and stop your organs from moving around and all that. Open it up, and then she, I'm not sure. It's not called scraping, but she got all the cancer cells out. However they do
Mm,
that. And then she took a little piece from the heart, the lining of the heart, and she replaced it with a mesh, they call it. And I think it's cow's hide.
mm.
So when I found that out, I was like, oh, but I'm vegan. But anyway, thank you, cow. And they put that on there because it matches what the human body already has. So it just kind
Okay.
of goes in there. So yeah, they do that, and then she, zipped me back up, and that's it. And now, I do have a scar here that I'm tending, but yeah, it's my battle wound.
Yes, I've seen it.
Hmm.
That is intense. That sounds intense. It sounds
It was.
scary,
It
and it
was.
sounds like you may be our melanin superwoman.
Ah,
Because ooh, okay, bless you, bless you. How did your medical team balance treating your thymoma cancer while managing your kidney health?
uh, well, like I said, well, that's different. It's a different
Mhm.
question. I had a nephrologist team also at UNC, which is where I was. So they managed my kidney health while the other team was trying to do what they need to do with the heart. I mean, not the heart, but the thymus. So they would check my kidney levels throughout the process. This is for the second surgery, and at one point it did dip to 16. I went in as a 20, and by that I mean the GFR. I won't go too far into that, but think of it as my kidney level was at 16% when it should be in the 90s at this age.
Mhm.
But so it dipped down, so I had to be on dialysis for the first time in my life, like in an emergency situation. So they put it in my neck, and I was supposed to be on it for 24 hours to get the kidney level back up. But as it turns out, I was only on there for 2 or 3 hours because it failed. It clotted, and it brought my kidney level back up, not back to perfect, but back to where it was before I came in. So that team was there, making sure that the kidneys didn't fail. Because
Mhm.
that surgery by itself could have sent me into kidney failure, and I would have been on dialysis like right now, like for the rest of my life until I got a transplant, which can't be for 5 years. But yeah, none of
Right.
that happened though. None of that happened.
Yes, yes. Thank God for that. How has this experience changed your perspective on life, health, and resilience?
Well,
Mm,
I don't think I'm a person who, I can say naturally, but have come to the point in my life where little things don't bother me. Right? This is before the
right.
surgery. This is before the surgery. I don't let small things bother me, and I just don't
Right.
get frazzled about stuff. Now,
Hmm.
even that little bit that I didn't care,
Okay.
that little piece that I had of not caring is just like nothing. It's like that doesn't mean I don't care what people I care about the things,
Yeah.
people I love and the things that I do that I love.
Hmm.
But it's like nothing, absolutely nothing phases me, nothing. And before too, nothing would embarrass me at this age before the surgery.
Hmm.
I probably nothing in this world could embarrass me, or I don't know. Yeah, That's
Okay.
how it has helped me with that. But it was the third part to that question. What was it? I wanted to answer. What was it? The third thing you said?
And resilience.
Resilience. Now, I've been active, like I said, all my life, but probably
Hmm.
since my like late, early mid 30s. But
Okay. Meaning.
active meaning working out and eating well and stuff like that. Around 2020, around COVID time, I had surgery on my knee from all the activity I was doing. I did something to mess up my knee, so I had surgery. Ever since that time, I've been up and down, and working out up and down, and eating well up and down, and
Hmm.
just fitness overall.
Hmm.
However, right before this surgery, I had really gotten into a flow. I had gotten strong again, and I was into a flow of being at the gym and working out all the time. So I was very strong, and I think that had a lot to do with the recovery that I had, the resilience that they say. Well, you bounce back so fast, and great day. And I think that had a lot to do with my overall health
Uh,
before I had the surgery. So I think it's very. I've always been on the soapbox of health and fitness, but I think it's very important to be the best version of yourself, health wise, in all areas, but right now, health wise, because if something knocks on your door, your body is able to help you fight it or help you be strong enough for you to get through it, because it's hard. All different kinds of illnesses
yes.
are
Yes.
hard. Yeah. So, you know, having a doing your part will help you get through anything. So, yeah.
Well, since I know you and you are my BFF, one of them anyway, it's hard for me to remember that you were sick, that you were laying in that hospital room, in
Hmm.
that bed, barely could talk, could not move. That person in that hospital room and how you are today, no one would ever believe it
I
if they didn't
know.
know that you were there
Yeah,
at
I
that
know.
place. And the way that you have bounced back and are still Kim, the same person I met some 15, 20 years ago, still that person without, you would never know that you've been through the battle that you went through. You would just never know it. And I believe that besides God wrapping his arms around you, that the way you took care of your health prior to you getting this diagnosis and going through the surgeries, I believe that that's why you have been able to overcome and bounce back. Maybe even better in some situations. Maybe a little worse, but people wouldn't know it.
Right.
They known that you were had your chest cracked open
Hmm.
and having your heart stopped, and people would never know that.
Yeah.
So I commend you for sticking with it, because we used to walk the stairs and walk the hills and stuff like that, and I'd be out of breath and all of that. You like, come on, you can do it, you can do it. And I find myself when you were cheering me on the stairs and on the climbing the hills and stuff, I was cheering you on in the hospital room.
Yeah.
I was cheering you on in the waiting room, and when I was visiting you to make sure you were, because I'm just that type of person. I need to lay my eyes on people, but it's not about me. But when you were cheering me on doing the exercises, I was cheering you on doing your time of recovery.
Yeah, because there was one point, after when I was in recovery,
Mhm.
that I couldn't walk or run, not walk, run, but couldn't walk fast. I had to walk with a walker, and then I couldn't walk too far, and I couldn't breathe, and it was, that part was hard because I like to do stuff. I like to clean up. I like to, move around and be independent, and I couldn't
Mhm.
be. With that probably was one of the hardest part was
Mhm.
losing my independence,
Yes.
losing my independence. And although I knew it was going to be temporary, it gave me a feeling of this is what this feels like, and I don't like it. So I'm like, okay, you got to get even stronger after this is over because you want to keep your independence. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And it has a lot of your recovery time, and the way you recover has a lot to do with your resilience and
Right.
who you were prior,
Right.
because you were always dependent on Kim, not so much as other people. And yeah, that God knew what you needed in your life leading you up to the moment. He
Yeah,
knew.
definitely. Every step of the way. Well, we don't even know what the steps are, but when they
Mm-mm.
come, you're like, okay, this was I was on my way to.
Yeah. Yeah. Couldn't have said it better myself. Did you discover anything about yourself that surprised you during that was like, oh, I didn't know that was me during this journey? Sometimes people have a discovery about themselves.
Um, I can't say that it's going.
Okay.
I think I. It probably goes back to the other question that you asked. I discovered that life can be. I didn't discover that, but it had a deeper meaning to me
Yeah.
that life is short. Everything became deeper. Like, yeah. So whatever I knew before, I know it on a deeper level. I know
Right.
this is a glass of water I'm great to drink. I know this water on a deeper level. Just everything is just deeper than what it looks like. But
Hmm.
it's not as hard as people make it. So yeah, just trying to balance those two.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what gave you hope during the darkest moments of this journey?
Again, God, my family, and
Mhm.
my friends.
Okay.
Um, I remember when I wouldn't say that. How do I put this? Like I said, everybody do things differently.
Hmm.
When I pray about something, I don't. I just I can say do it and let it go. It's like
Okay.
So I prayed about it and I let it go. So the end of my prayer was, whatever is your will.
Right.
So when I woke up so I wasn't scared. I was telling another friend this other day, I wasn't like, oh, suppose I die. Da, da, da. I don't want to die.
Right. Right.
Ever have that fear. And not because I knew I wasn't going to die. It's because
Mhm.
I wasn't afraid either way that it went.
Yeah.
That's what it was supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? That's what it was.
Okay.
So that's how I went into it. And so when I came out of surgery and when I finally opened my eyes, I was like, oh, I'm here because I didn't know which. I was like, whatever's your will. I mean, I don't know which way it's gonna go.
Yeah.
I was
I
like,
mean,
oh, I made it. Okay, I must got something else to do. So that's how I felt.
I like that. I really like what you just said, because when you know what you know it.
Right.
There's no circumstances and no situations that can change what you know absolutely
Yeah.
for sure. That's great. What gave you hope? No, I just asked that question. I'm sorry. How do you define healing after going through such a challenging experience? How do you define that? If you could put it into words.
Healing. I think after I'm gonna call it traumatic
Mhm.
situation. Just the diagnosis and then the
Was
surgery and then the healing. That's just a lot. Um, so I think not just physically healing is something you have to focus on. Obviously,
right.
so you have to do all the things that you need to do to heal, eat and water, and don't do
Hmm.
a whole lot. That was big for me. But anyway, do what the doctor says. Don't overdo it and stuff like that. But in addition to your physical healing, you need to heal mentally because
Yeah.
you went through a lot mentally too,
Yeah.
spiritually, emotionally, all of that. So as you're at home healing from anything, think about every facet of yourself and heal those places too so you can come back and be in balance.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Great answer. I can't add anything to that. What advice would you give to someone who's facing similar unexpected diagnosis or dual health challenges. What advice would you give to somebody
Um,
that, that you could talk to a person that may be listening to them? What advice would you give them?
I would say, initially, I think it's important to have whatever emotions you're gonna have about anything. You know, however long that takes a person, it depends on the person. If you want to boo-hoo your eyes out for a day, an hour, a week, then go ahead and do that. But at some point and very early on, I personally believe you need to just put on your armor and just be a warrior against whatever it is that's trying to attack you. And that's what it's a monster. I call it a monster inside your body, and it's trying to attack you. So you got to be a warrior, meaning you know, get your opinions from your doctor. You need a second. If you feel like you need a second opinion, get it. Ask all the questions that you can ask. Write them down when you get into the doctor's office. Take your phone and record what she or he is saying because you're not going to remember everything, and it's going to be a lot of information. So
Okay.
yeah, do that, and just listen to what the doctor says. And like I said, if you're not vibing with her or him, get a second opinion. Nothing wrong with getting a second opinion. Just I think it's important to just feel good about, although you're going through something bad or not not good. um I think it's um important to just have a good feeling about the hospital you're in, the doctor that's talking to you.
Right.
Is she, just to feel good, because that plays a big role in your healing and your procedures and stuff like that too.
Yeah. That's great advice.
Yeah, and are they communicating well? That's a big thing. Like, is the doctor actually communicating with you outside of, I don't know. Like, my doctor was like great. She was just having very
Mhm.
good bedside manners, and that's important because if
It
somebody
is.
tell you something like that, you don't want to just flying in and flying out and not connecting. And yeah,
Absolutely. I'm a believer that your doctors were sent to you for your specific issues.
yeah,
And I don't care if the doctor is in the best of their class. If they don't resonate well with you and your spirit,
yeah,
you don't need that doctor.
yeah,
Just because he did my surgery great, doesn't mean that
right.
your personalities mesh
Mm-hmm.
because everybody's different. So I would definitely, definitely
Mm-hmm.
want to be comfortable with the person that has to open me up.
Yeah,
I tell her, if you're not confident with that process beforehand, how are you going to be confident when you wake up and be like, well, what if he messed up? Or what if he didn't care enough? Or whatever your questions may be.
yeah.
So that's very important. Are there any resources, practice, or mindsets that you found particularly helpful during this time?
Resources. Well, I'm a researcher, so
Yes, you are.
um, I research everything, everything. I mean, I was in my chart. I probably became addicted, probably in like an OCD kind of way, looking in my chart, and seeing what the notes were, and seeing what the test results of this and that was. And I get online and I look up, what certain things mean, and I don't look at, frivolous types of information. I go to like medical journals, something that's
Mhm.
reputable, and so I can get an understanding of what they're saying because they're gonna say the big word, and you're
Yeah,
not gonna know what the big word means. So you have to look things up and get a really good understanding of what's going on with you. And along with that, like I said, ask the question. Don't be like, if you don't understand what she just said, ask the question.
absolutely.
Yeah,
And that's very good advice about research and not understanding what the doctor said and going online to type in what they said and
hmm,
knowing what that word mean and then going into a medical journal.
yeah,
That is great advice. Someone needed to hear that.
yeah.
How are you doing now, and what does the future look like for you in terms of health and personal goals?
I'm doing well.
Okay, yes, you.
I I am working out again. I am lifting weights. Um, my my strength is not bad, but it's just not where I was when I left off, which is fine. It's getting there. Muscles grow. Um, so yeah, I'm doing good. I'm at my 6 month. I go for surveillance every 6 months now instead of every 3 months.
Mhm.
Um, so I'm a year cancer free.
Yay, yay. A whole year.
1 year down, four to go. Well, the rest of my life to go before to get on the list.
Yes, that is wonderful.
Yes, 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 yes. Thank you. Encore, encore, encore. I got a standing ovation.
Yes, you did. What message would you like to share with others who might be listening and going through their own struggle? Not necessarily two surgeries back to back, but any health issues or personal issues. What advice would you give them today?
I would say first, my first line of defense is going within, which means speaking to God or meditating or both because they go together.
Yes.
Whatever you do to connect to God, do that. Whatever
Mm,
your thing is, do that. Um, and if you don't have a support system, if you do have a support system, lean on them.
yes.
If you don't have a support system, reach out to your doctor, or if you're in church, reach out to your, if you have a church, you should have a support system. I'm just saying.
Mhm.
But reach out to somebody in your church and, let them know what's going on with you, and maybe people can rally and, get you the support you need outside of the doctor. However, I just thought of they have support system within the hospital. All you have to do is ask the doctor or the nurse for the information. And I know where I was, they had like resources where you could get support, go to support groups and stuff like that. Also, there are groups. Just be cognizant or do your research on groups before you join them. But they have groups on Facebook or Instagram that have people in the groups who have the same kind of cancer that you have. So you just have to find the groups and be careful of that too. It's good if you use it in a good way because sometimes people on there can be very negative, like always saying the bad things about what's going on. And then, you're reading it and you're just sinking into all this bad stuff and you think it's going to happen to you, but their story isn't your story. So just read it with a grain of salt. But yeah, just I think it's important just to be connected to somebody and don't be alone.
That's great advice. Don't be alone. That matters.
Hmm.
That really matters. Has this experience inspired you to advocate for others to get involved in any causes related to thymoma, cancer, kidney health, or organ donation?
Oh, I haven't done any kind of research or anything on the kidney part. I don't know why, because I've had the kidney disease for a long time, like 15, 20 years. However, I guess because cancer is what it is, when you say the word, it just, although everyone doesn't, die from cancer, obviously, but
Right.
the word itself is just very something, it's very heavy. So that's what I am probably more apt to do something in the, um, what I want to say, informational area. That's not what I want to say, but I can't think of the word. I have not joined, but donated to a kidney foundation that a friend of mine um, created because her
Okay.
mom just passed from cancer also.
Okay.
So I told her I would do anything to help her with that. But as far as me personally doing something, no. I'm probably known as the helper, but I was gonna help her, get that off. It's actually off the ground, and I cannot think of the name off the top of my head right now.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay.
So just donating and being involved with any kind of information is trying to get out there. Like this month was National Kid. No, one of the days is I think it was the 12th was the National Kidney Day. So not kidney, Cancer Day. So
Mm-hmm.
I posted about that and stuff like that. So yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Do you have any plans to share your story further to help others in similar situations?
I do. This goes back to your question you just asked. I do have a Instagram page. Um, it's called Thrive Heal. No, mm. I can't even see it. Wait a minute, I can't see it in my head.
Okay.
Heal,
And
Thrive, and Empower. That's what it is. Heal, Thrive, and Empower.
you said heal as in healing?
Yeah,
Okay.
HEAL.
Okay. Thrive and empower.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
On there, I talk about fitness type stuff, um, just motivational stuff about geared towards people who may be going through what I'm going through.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, on there I talk about cancer. I haven't talked about mine personally yet because I'm saving it for my year anniversary, which is the end of next week. But
Okay.
whoever follows me on there, they do know that I have had cancer though.
Okay.
But yeah, I plan on being more transparent about that on there. To, like you say, help somebody else that may be going through the
Yeah.
same thing.
Yeah. Exactly. If you could go back and talk to yourself at the beginning of this journey, what would you say to her? If you can go back and talk to yourself at the beginning of your journey, this journey, what would you say?
At the beginning of the journey,
Like when they first told you you had
would I
this.
change anything? You said.
Now, what would you say to yourself?
When I,
If you could go back and talk to you, be like, hey, Kim, when the doctor said, Miss Bell, we've discovered, and if you could go back to that moment and say something to you, what would you say?
I would probably say.
And if you don't know what you would say, that's an honest
I'm
answer.
thinking. I don't know what I would have said because I don't feel like I would have done anything different. So I'm trying to think of what I would
Right.
have done different and say
So,
that.
can I add that because I know you and we do a lot of things alike, I envision you saying, soak it all in. Kim, you hear what they saying. Tune in, listen, but you got this. You got this. And just what, like you said earlier in the beginning of the interview, what am I going to do now? What are my next steps? What do I have to do? What do I need to do? What should I do? I just imagine yourself talking to you through the process. You standing outside of yourself, talking to yourself.
Right. Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
they said this. Okay, did she say that? Did
Yeah.
she actually say what I thought she said? But you doing the pivot from what she's saying to reality and just moving forward.
Yeah. I remember asking her too. I was like, "Are you sure? Are
Yeah,
you sure?"
I
She
can.
was like, "Yes, Miss Bill."
I, I remember us having a discussion, and it's good that we can laugh about this now because it wasn't funny to me when I heard it, and I know it wasn't to you. But I remember you saying you asking her something to them, and I'm paraphrasing. Yeah, are you sure I got cancer?
I'm like, so it is cancer, right? And she kept saying,
Yeah, it is, and I can see you asking that cancer
yeah.
that
So
question.
they don't use the word cancer in their notes. They say all kind of things about sales and all this stuff. They ever say the word. So yeah.
No, that's what your research has done for you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, our last question is, what is the most important lesson you've learned from this entire experience? And you may have answered this question previously, but
We're
as a
gonna wrap it up with this. Okay. Um, what I've learned is And like I said, learn to do even more is don't sweat the small stuff. Let the small stuff be even smaller, minute, like you can't barely see it kind of small stuff.
Mm,
I've learned that I have a great support system. I've learned that people love me because I didn't think they loved me at first. I'm just joking. I learned that people love me.
that's just the kind of spirit
I
you
learned that I am strong and or stronger than even stronger than I thought I was because I never thought I was weak in all of this, but I don't take for granted that I got through it the way that I did. So I got some added strength, and I attribute that I'm gonna toot my own horn. I attribute
have.
that to um, just being a good person. So I think when you're a good person and you do good things and you have good thoughts and things go well for you. And to end that all off, whatever is God's will is God's will. I went
Let it
through it for a reason. They found out for a reason. The reason may have been for me to sweat the small stuff even smaller because there's something I need that for to do whatever is next. So I don't know what it is. We're gonna see what's going on with Kim for the rest
yeah,
of her years
right.
here.
I'm just glad I got a front row seat to the show. I'm just glad about that. So, thank you, Kimberly, for sharing your story and having to relive those moments of hard and difficult times. But you sharing that with us is going to help someone else along
I
their
hope so.
journey
I
of
hope so.
healing and recovery, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally as well. And though for those people that don't have a community or support group, hopefully they will seek out a group that they can become a part of, that they will eventually gain friendships from those groups that are tailored specifically for them. And I thank you for your time today. I thank you for being here with us. I thank you for being alive today for us to have this discussion. I love you. God bless.
I love you too. Bye.
Bye.